Okay, so let's start. So welcome to our Digivisio 2030 webinar in English. This is our first English session, so we are happy to have you online. My name is Jonna Piiroinen and I'm the communications manager from our program office. And today, as we are as I said, this is the first event in English, we thought that we'll focus on the sort of basics of the program. And we have our program director here with us, Hanna Nordlund, and she will go through the background and the sort of goals of the program. And then in the latter part of the event, our communication specialist, Siiri Nousiainen, will tell you where you can follow our program, which communication channels we have and which social media channels you can also follow. During the presentations, you can ask questions or comment, and we hope to get your questions and comments through the Q&A functionality that you'll find from the latter part of the screen. So here you can see how it looks, so Q&A. So please use that functionality. And we'll answer the questions and comments then after the presentation. Okay, let's move forward to the presentation. So to you, Hanna.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. So as Jonna said, I will go through the basics of this Digivisio 2030 program, but also tell a bit about our priorities for this year and also the first implementation of this program. In a really short words, Digivisio 2030 is a joint program of all Finnish higher education institutions, and the aim is to create a future for learning that benefits higher education institutions, learners, and the whole society. Education and expertise have always been in the center of the competitiveness of Finland, and that's not going to change. So we understand that we need more and more expertise in the future, and the same forces of change that change other industries will change the higher education sector considerably in the future as well. And the kind of starting point for this whole program has been that we can either wait and see what kind of changes will become, or we can take a proactive role and build the future for ourselves. And by starting this program, the higher education institutions have decided to have the courage to build the future and be proactive in it. And one of the most important work that we did last year was scenario work. We are 38 higher education institutions, so quite a big consortium. And we started by discussing about what we think that the world will look like in 2030. And what kind of a target scenario could we set for ourselves so that all the 38 participants of this program would be willing to commit to that scenario. And really briefly said, the target scenario was defined that Finland has an internationally esteemed open learning ecosystem that widely benefits the society as a whole. In that scenario work, we talked about the world of expertise, and we saw that the world will be changing at an accelerating pace in 2030, and people's expectations towards learning and learning offerings will be higher than today, and the ways of acting and operating are changing fast, and the competition of experts will be much tougher in the future. And on the other hand, it means that from the viewpoint of experts, every one of us has a big responsibility for taking care of our own expertise and our own competitiveness in the labor market. But on the other hand, the competition for experts will be tougher as well. And it means that there will be constantly increasing need to adopt new skills and learn. And we will see the kind of a transformation of continuous learning. And the world of learner in 2030, we saw that by 2030 we will be able to provide a learning ecosystem that shifts our focus from the organization to the learner. And the learner centricity is one of the key principles in this whole program. And we see that both experts and education providers need to develop their expertise, and that way Digivisio is not an ICT program, but it's a change program that needs considerable change and means making or leading change in the higher education institutions as well. And from the viewpoint of learners, in the future, the studies will involve an extensive network of contents that cross the boundaries of the higher education institutions, but also provide modules that are produced by parties that come from outside the higher education institutions. And finally, the world of learning itself, we see that collaboration and cooperation between higher education institutions will be much stronger than today, and they will provide joint learning offerings, and learning will be independent of time and place. This doesn't mean that that everything would be digital and the campuses would not be important in the future. Their role will probably change, but still we see the world of hybrid learning. And based on analytics, we can plan and target the learning offering more efficiently in the future. So these were kind of the cornerstones of the scenario work. And then next I will talk about the basics of the Digivisio program itself. So we have 38 higher education institutions, which means that all the Finnish higher education institutions they own this program. It's a 10-year program, so we are doing long-term change work, long-term collaboration. We already have over 300 people working around this program. We have 44 million euro budget and funding right now, and that will be until the end of 2024 or beginning of 2025. So we will need more funding in this 10-year journey, but we are pretty secured with the funding for the first years. This whole program and collaboration is founded on equal and open decision making, and also the opportunities for participation for teachers, other professionals in the higher education institutions and the learners is an important principle that we have here, and we are doing the work really transparently. So there are a lot of opportunities for participation, but also for commenting the work that we are doing, based on which we then take the work forward. And this is our governance model. So the highest decision-making body in this program is our General Assembly, which includes representatives from every higher education institution, so 38 representatives there, mainly rectors or vice rectors from the higher education institutions. And the General Assembly approves the action plans and budget for the program for each year, and also makes the strategic decisions together. And then we have the steering group consisting of 10 members, so 10 members from the higher education institutions. And the role is the strategic management. So, and of course, within the boundaries of the action plan and budget approved by the General Assembly. Also, the steering group, in addition to strategic management, takes also care of the stakeholder collaboration. And our steering group is led by Ilkka Niemelä, who is the rector of Aalto University. And then as an implementator in this program is our program office, of which I'm leading. And the role of the program office is to plan and implement the decisions and actions decided in the General Assembly and steering group. And in the program office, as I showed before, there are only over 300 people working in this program right now. And a part of it is working in the program office. And we have people working 100% in the program office, but really important experts that we work with is the experts of the higher education institutions and of various areas of expertise. So we have a lot of opportunities for the ones that are interested in working this program. We have experts from higher education institutions for committed to shorter term projects that we do, and then also committed for several years in working with the program office. And of course, then we have some consultants also helping us and supporting us in the implementation. I said earlier that the learner centricity is kind of the starting point or the key principle in this program, but of course we aim to bring various benefits for the teachers and other people working in the higher education institutions, and also for the society as a whole. So not forgetting any of these important stakeholders. And from the viewpoint of learners, the key benefit is to enable learners to learn more easily, offer more flexible, smooth learning journeys, and that way supporting the learners in accumulating the necessary expertise for the kind of changing needs of the labor market. And then from the benefits from the viewpoint of the teacher, we aim to strengthen the role of teachers as producers of high quality content, and also as facilitators of renowned learning experiences. And then, of course, from the viewpoint of the whole society, our aim is to support the competitiveness of Finland in the global labor market, and ensure that the standards of higher education rises, and the Finns will have employment opportunities both in Finland but also abroad. Here in this slide we have our roadmap. I won't go through this very thoroughly right now, but as you see, there are a lot of activities in our roadmap, and I think it's important to understand, as I said before, Digivisio is not an ICT program, it's a change program, and we need to work with the change on really different levels. So one thing is the kind of a shared scenario and commitment in this work, in this quite big consortium. The other level is the working and operating models and service concepts. And then the third level of change work is, of course, the ICT and architecture. And then a fourth really important level for this change work is the legislation, where we need changes as well. And that's the reason that this roadmap includes quite a lot of different tasks on these different levels. But we see that in order to achieve the target scenario, we need work on all of these 4 levels. But you have the roadmap in the slide, so you can read it more closely then after this webinar. And since this is quite a long program for 10 years, it's clear that we have kind of different phases during this journey, and also different priorities for each year. And for this year, we have defined 4 different priorities that also reflect then everything that we do this year. And the first one is to make it possible for the higher education institutions to start the internal change work. So as said before, the things we do in this program require a lot of change management in the higher education institutions, and it's important that that work starts this year. Also, since we are moving from this planning stage forward towards implementation, we have many sometimes quite difficult decisions and kind of policies that we need to make together, and those are prerequisites for this program to move forward as planned. So that's the reason why the second priority is that we are able to make decisions as needed, and also get all the 38 parties to commit in those decisions. And we are quite in the beginning of this 10-year journey in this program right now. And since this year, it's been quite a small group of people that have been working this program so far. It's growing all the time, and for this year the priority is to raise the awareness and commitment to this program in the higher education community more widely, and also with the other stakeholders as well. And then the fourth priority for this year is to start the development work of these Digivisio services, as we call them right now. They will have better names in the future, but right now we are just talking about Digivisio 2030 services, and referring to the digital services that we are developing, and we hope that we get the development work starting in the beginning of the fall, so August, September latest. And I've been mentioning the learner centricity or learner orientedness multiple times in this presentation, and also we keep the learners and all of the users really close to the digital service development work. So these are the priorities that we are doing this year. And then when we get the development work started, the priorities for the next year will probably be slightly different. And then the implementation part. So continuous and flexible learning tray is the first implementation of Digivisio. And the continuous and flexible learning tray also brings together these separate digital services that we are building in this program. And this tray solves an important problem that the continuous learners have today. And the problem is that the continuous learning offering is scattered at the moment, and often the learners need to search each higher education institute separately to kind of get a holistic view about the continuous learning offering in Finland. And this tray brings that offering in one place, thus solving this key problem that the users have right now. And the continuous and flexible learning tray brings the offering into one place and then enables comparison and selection based on the continuous learners' needs. And the tray consists of 5 different services that are described in the center of this picture. So first we have the educational offering that enables the presentation, and after that the comparison of the offering of different higher education institutions. And when the offering or the learning content is described in somewhat similar way, it makes the comparison and choosing easier for the learner. Then we have the identity management, which enables the authentication to these services. We will have the My Data service that gathers the learning data of the learner in one place, and later on enables a personalized service experience and transactions based on the learning data. Then we will have the AI-based guidance services that form the tray's recommendation engine, and that helps to align the supply and the demand and recommend different suitable learning content for the learner. And finally, we will have the joint application and registration services in the tray, which kind of presents a uniform display of the registration process and also the payment options for the learner, and also attaching to an institution or cross-institutional studies, but also aiming to provide a smooth and good experience for using the service. And the tray and these 5 services are, of course, based on a joint knowledge base consisting of the data platform and also the data source systems where the data is retrieved for the data platform. So I hope that based on this description, you get an idea what we are doing first. This is a long program, and as said, this has been chosen as the first implementation. These 5 separate services that are pictured here will be developing over the years, but the first implementation and concrete way of using these services is this continuous and flexible learning tray. And we have, in this program, we have made a conscious decision about prioritizing the continuous learning first. And just to sum up about this tray, the objective for the learner is that the learner knows where to find educational offering, and that corresponds the competence needs and also the individual learning objectives of the learner. And the AI-based service will help to identify the competence needs based on the own goals and learning objectives of the learner. And then the learner will find possible learning paths in one service and can easily compare them, although the higher education institutions themselves, they own their own content, and the learner will be directed then to the single higher education institutions. And then the comparison and selection that are really hard to do today, they are supported by the intelligent recommendations based on the learner's existing knowledge and labor market data, and also the learning objectives. And from the viewpoint of the higher education institutions, the objective of this tray is to the educational offering of single higher education institutions to reach a wider public, and also based on the data be more effectively targeted for the learners. And it will provide a joint channel for presenting the offering of higher education institutions and offer a new view shared by higher education institutions for presenting and also sharing educational offerings. And with this tray, the e-learning offering of different higher education institutions will be more easily found, and analytics will help in planning and targeting their own offerings. And then from the viewpoint of the society, the objective of the tray is to support innovation and enhance Finland's competitiveness in the global employment and labor market. And the provision of studies can be targeted at the needs of the society and labor market, and also educational offering responds more directly to the needs of employers. And along with this tray and this whole program, we will have quite a unique national data resources for continuous learning. And we also aim to make the data available for individuals and for the society. And from the viewpoint of the companies, the objective is also to create new business opportunities. So as I mentioned before, we see that in the future, we will be offering more and more learning content and offerings outside the higher education institutions in this ecosystem as opportunity to develop new services, but also new learning contents. And then co-design and open data are also interesting from the viewpoint of the companies. And finally, about the timeline. So we are in the early stages of this program, and we will start the development of the digital services after the next summer. And we will develop the services with the agile development methods, meaning that step by step these services will develop. And we have these 4 pilots through which the services will develop. We have already chosen the pilot higher education institutions that will be the first ones to do the co-design and also piloting the first versions of those 5 services that I showed earlier. So they are idea according to the agile method is that we are doing this minimum viable products for each of the services first, and then in each pilot, these single services will develop further. And then the wider launch of these services will happen somewhere in 2024. So that's the timeline for this digital services and this the plan for proceeding at this point. Okay, with these words, I will end my presentation here, and then we can move to questions if you want to present them.
Thank you, Hanna, for your good presentation. We don't have any questions or comments at the moment. You can still post those through the Q&A functionality that you can find on the bottom of your Zoom. But I recommend that we move forward now. So Siiri, if you can now present where you can follow our program. And then if we have questions or comments after Siiri's presentation, then let's go those through then. So Siiri, please.
Yes, thank you, Jonna. And I have to say my Wi-Fi network has been a bit bad today, so please let me know if I'm a bit glitchy or anything. But now I'm gonna share my PowerPoint. I assume you have it there. Yeah. Perfect. So hello everyone. My name is Siiri Nousiainen, and I'm working here in the program office as a communications specialist. And I'm going to tell you just a few words on how you can follow Digivisio online. You can find our website at digivisio2030.fi. And here we publish all the latest news and updates on the program in our website. And all of the upcoming events and latest publications, say studies and researches, etc., can be found here. And the website is currently actually a little bit under reconstruction, so don't be alarmed if it looks a little different than in this picture here. The new site will be published in this address in a few weeks, hope so. And I gladly recommend you to subscribe to our newsletter. It's published 4 times a year, and it's in English. You can subscribe to it in English, and the newsletter gathers together all the latest blogs and publications and events and such. We also have another newsletter that is sent a bit more often, but that is only in Finnish and Swedish for now at least. But this newsletter will be open for subscriptions in a few weeks also, so make sure you write that address down now. We are also on social media. You can find the program on Twitter and LinkedIn. Search for Digivisio 2030 and you should find the pages. We also have a YouTube channel where we publish all our video content, and we would love to hear your thoughts about the program, so feel free to tag us and have a conversation online also. So that's all for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Siiri. And your connection worked just perfectly. No bad Zoom karma this time.
Perfect.
Still, we don't have any questions or comments, so I guess we'll end a bit early today. It was very nice to have you, everybody, online in this first English session. I'll show you the next events in English. We'll have another webinar in June, 14th of June. Hope you can join us then. And then we'll also have webinars in between in Finnish, so you can also join us